You may be wondering why you're looking at spaghetti and meatballs in Blender, and the reason why is because Assetify now comes with a feature called Non-PrincipledBSDF Baking, and we're going to play a game called Find the Baked Meatball. Now, these are all, well, except for one, procedural setups, non-principled BSDF setups, which means mix shaders and whatever, and one of them is actually baked with one click to a texture set with a Principled BSDF shader. Now, if you're working with Assetify version 1 or 2, of course, to get this new feature, you need to do a little update. So let's go to Edit, Preferences, let's go to Assetify, and you can now check for Assetify updates. Now, for you, it will say there is an actual update. You can click on the update, restart Blender, and all will be well. Now, if you chose this one here at the front, you are absolutely correct, and for obvious reasons, because it's the one in focus, I know, but we can see that in the shader tab, for the others, we have a procedural setup with multiple shaders and mix shader, and this one only comes with one Principled BSDF with a texture set. And would you believe me if it's actually just one click away from going from a mix shader to a baked setup? I'm going to show that today. So let's start with our meatball, right? We're here now, so let's just do that. And I may or may not have made a completely procedural setup for spaghetti just for this scene. So leave a like, please, if you like the spaghetti. So let's continue, right? So we know that this one is baked, right? So I'm just going to hide it, and we're just going to set up a new baked texture from this. Okay, so let's open up Assetify. We can just process this as that. I'm going to just add it to a new collection called Process Meatball. There we go. Create it, set it up here, processed meatball. And we can now just process this as a still process. There we go. And right away, we can just move it to our front part a little bit. Okay, there we go. Make it a little bit bigger. So now it still has that original material, but we can now just select it here, go to the bake assets, and we get some features, and one of them is non-principled BSDF baking. Now, if we enable this, we can actually just bake it. We can skip UV unwrap because the sphere already comes pre-unwrapped, and now we can just hit bake. Let's do a 2K bake for this one. Bake and save and proceed, and that's literally it. You will be able to see some magic happening in the shader setup, and that's because it's going to try to recreate your beautiful mix shader setup. No matter how long it is, how many shaders you use, it's going to try to rebuild it in the most accurate way it possibly can. So right now it has done that, and it's actually baking all the maps that it has created for one single Principled BSDF setup that is now being baked. Now, once this is done, there we go, we got our new setup. Let's go to rendered view, and we have our new meatball, right? Isn't that just beautiful? So that really is as easy as it gets, right? This is the new feature, non-principled BSDF baking, no matter how crazy your setup is, okay? Let me open another file. Let's open up, let's just open up the test file, because that's quite an extensive shader. For example, we've got this disco ball, right? And that's really been made to test this out with a lot of random things, procedurally set up animations for the material. We use Glossy, Emission, Diffuse, Mix Shaders, Principled BSDF, we use Emission, and it also works with transparent BSDF shaders, by the way. And now we can just set this up. So we've got our sphere here. Let's see. There we go, and we can actually now just go to bake settings. I want to bake emission now as well. That is also a new feature in the upcoming release. And we can bake emission maps and transmission as well, and alpha is now optional. So we can just select non-principled BSDF, skip UV unwrap, and we can now just bake this as, let's say, 2K again. Bake assets, save and proceed, and you'll be able to see a massive new setup, temporary setup, is being created in your material. Right, I notice that I'm now baking an actual animation here, which is not what I meant to do, but it's happening anyway. So we're baking an image sequence set now for our textures, which is fine as well. I'll just pause this and we'll be back once that has been finished. Baking is now done, and as you can see, also a new feature is automatically adding image sequence sets to your baked material. So you can actually check it out right away, right? So let's go here. Now it looks a little bit different compared to our original sphere. Let me just grab that here. And there's a very simple and straightforward reason that is actually set up to work like that. And that is the emission strength, right? Because we bake values from 0 to 1, right? Black and white as maximum, and if our emission goes to 20 to 100 as strength, we actually map it back first to a 0 and 1 range. All right, so it will go over your entire chain, try to get the highest emission strength value and map it back between 0 and 1, which means that if I just add a math node here in my strength input here and set this to be higher, you can see it is going to match up perfectly, right? So this is our procedural material, and this here is our baked material, right? It is a one-on-one match, even though the material was incredibly difficult to set up. And it's of course animated, right? So let's play that frame by frame. We can see we have an animated texture and animated sequence set as well for the baked frames 0 to 10. Right? So that is beautiful, and that is so easy to set up. So that is the new feature, right? Non-Principled BSDF Baking. Please test it out, leave me some feedback on things that I can improve, things that I can add next, and in general, please just let me know how it goes and if you like it. Now, if you like the video as well, please leave a like, a comment and subscribe. I would enjoy any one of those, and then I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!